Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Hanges, City of Toronto Mayor candidate number 51 on the ballot. I come to you live tonight. There is so much gold that has dropped in my lap as a candidate. I can't wait to get started. So, first on the list, Olivia Chow. In the last couple of days, Olivia Chow has made a remark about additionally taxing people that are interested in buying high-profile properties, for residential homes. There's a problem with that. Before I get that far, City of Toronto had a man named David Miller who was mayor. Under then City Council, along with David Miller, they passed what is known today as the land transfer tax. The purpose of this tax was to tax additional fees, if you will, when anybody was to buy a home. What Olivia Chow is suggesting is discriminatory, and I'll tell you why. As much as I want to tax the rich, okay, and tax people that have deeper pockets than the most of us, the thing is, you can't overtax because of the fact that it came up as a good talking point in order to pull the heartstrings of people that want to fight back. You want to fight back? You vote for a guy like me. You vote for Peter Hanges on Monday, June 26th, number 51 on the ballot. When Olivia Chow says that a person that is interested in buying a $5, $6, $7 million home to tax them additionally, that can be challenged in court. And guess who's going to pick up the tab? The City of Toronto is having difficulty with their finances as it is. When a person encounters an additional tax that is not legislated evenly and fairly across the board for everyone, that person can take the city to court, and a judge will rule in the plaintiff's favor, because the defendant would be the city. The judge will rule in the plaintiff's favor of overtaxation that is focused on one key segment of brand new purchases or resale real estate that is considered high value. You can't do that. Please don't be misled. On another point, just to remind people, Olivia Chow, in the last couple of weeks, her variation on what she thinks affordable housing should be in the planning and undertaking of construction to tear down the Gardner Expressway. And once the Gardner is removed, to build affordable housing on either side of the lakeshore. Now, there's a problem. For anybody that has bicycled, walked, driven along the lakeshore from Leslie Street westbound all the way to the Bathurst Portlands, there are CN Rail tracks. CN Rail has title of easement that was established over 150 years ago, and the majority of these tracks are still being used by CN Rail. Olivia Chow is misleading you and misleading the public when she says that it would be a good idea to tear down the Gardner Expressway and put affordable housing on either side when there's CN Rail property, a title of easement. Now, in plain English, what that means is that think of a utility pole in your backyard. Most utility poles will have Bell Canada or Rogers equipment, cables going from backyard to backyard, and every so often, maybe 5, 6 backyards separating each other, you have a utility pole. Bell Canada and Rogers have what is known as easement rights. It's the same thing in this case with CN Rail. When the rail lines are down, nobody can remove that unless there's a principled agreement in order to do so. So unless CN Rail and Olivia Chow have spoken privately, Olivia, you get elected mayor, and I'm going to do you the favor. This is CN Rail speaking. We're going to walk away from that asset. We're going to walk away from those train tracks. Unless something like this is going on, then Olivia Chow is misleading you. Please, on Monday, June 26th, vote for Peter Hanges, ballot number 51. Now, let's move on to Mark Saunders. Over the last several weeks, the Premier of Ontario kind of hinted this way, that way, that he would favor Mark Saunders to be mayor as a good working partner for the city of Toronto. Now, there's a problem with that. Mark Saunders, as you probably will know, was former chief of police. He served 28 years in the Toronto Police Force, earned his way to the top, and under the mayoralship of John Tory, became chief of police. If you've taken the time to listen to Mark Saunders in sound bites from news media or the advertising that he has purchased on radio, TV, where his experience as chief of police will be a good fit for the city of Toronto if elected mayor. Well, there's a problem with that. Under Mark Saunders as chief of police, he never paid the courtesy to walk into John Tory's office unannounced, because he is chief of police. He has that privilege to walk in to the mayor's office unannounced and have the receptionist tell the chief, let me see exactly where the mayor is at. I'll let him know that you're here. Not once did Mark Saunders ever walk into John Tory's office and say, my membership is telling me, they're complaining to me about decisions made by city council out of the mayor's office, that it's putting too much pressure on my police force. They're giving me input about this and that. The statistics can be found if you do your own research. I'm not going to offer publicly or privately anything that'll mislead you. Do your research. Under Mark Saunders, crime had increased. Now he's trying to tell the world, the Toronto voting public, that if he's elected chief, he's acquired so much experience in order to remedy the homelessness problem. Good governorship. If that was the case, he wouldn't have resigned back in 2020. And let us not forget, Mark Saunders, the official explanation was that he had health-oriented issues. But that didn't stop Mark Saunders, I guess, from a speedy recovery in order to pal up with Premier Doug Ford, being on the board for Ontario Place and making all kinds of decisions alongside with the provincial government. And now he wants to earn, his way to the top to become mayor. The problem, just to remind people, under Chief Saunders, crime increased. Homelessness, was never delegated as a priority from the Toronto Police Service under Chief Mark Saunders. Now, here's the gold. The gold being that in the last 24 hours, our Premier, Doug Ford, has pre-recorded robocalls on behalf of Mark Saunders. Hey, it's Doug Ford calling, just letting the public know that I support Mark Saunders for Mayor of Toronto. And this is coming from the same Premier that several weeks ago insisted that he's not going to interfere. He's not going to, throw in any type of, opinion or anything of the sort to indicate exactly where his preference is. A Mark Saunders, Doug Ford, pairing, that would be really bad news for the city, because I just can't see going forward, if former Police Chief Saunders becomes Mayor-elect City of Toronto Mayor, that he would actually have what it takes in order to plan, talk with City Council, and talk with other people that it would be necessary to bring together minds in order to remedy problems. He didn't do it as Chief of Police prior to his leaving as Chief, and and I can't see it going forward after June 26th. So once again, if anybody remembers the track record that Doug Ford has with the haircuts, okay, that he decided to have, well, if Doug Ford really can't pick a good barber for his haircuts, it explains exactly where he's putting his emphasis on Chief Saunders. Now, Brad Bradford, current city councilor, also part of the planning department during city council. Now he wants to be mayor. I deem Brad Bradford, current city councilor, now running for Toronto mayor, as an arsonist. He's responsible for setting a lot of fires. I use this metaphorically speaking. Brad Bradford has not struck a match and lit anything, but the decisions under his participation in the planning department while being city council member, he's responsible, along with others that are also currently running for mayor, that are city councilors, making decisions and passing bylaws and just passing, work that the current problems as far as traffic are concerned. These people are responsible. When the Ontario line was introduced, Toronto City Council knew well in advance that a permit was going to be given to the City of Toronto for review, where Queen Street between Bay and Victoria would be shut down in order to start the process of building the station for the Ontario line. Now you have Councillor Brad Bradford asking for a vote for Toronto mayor, and he's coming up with really concocted ideas that don't make sense that he's responsible for. Relocating the Queen car all the way down to King and coming back up. Over the last few weeks, part of his pledge of remedying traffic because of the Ontario line shut down for construction is to have streetcar lines going westbound on Richmond and eastbound on Adelaide in order to reroute the Queen car. Like I said, the planning department for the City of Toronto knew well in advance when the paperwork from the Ontario government was to be submitted that this was coming down the road, and they couldn't be bothered putting contingency plans in place. The streetcar tracks, or at least the overhead wiring infrastructure for the streetcars, should have actually been in place by now, if not completed. So Brad Bradford is a total, he's another one that misleads, and is also responsible for ripping up an additional portion of the Gardner Expressway elevation. Now, to the credit of the city, they're doing water work oriented things to clean up the roadways, to clean up overflow of water when it rains, putting in sewers. But the thing is, this is all done under the cover of night, and people are left to find out when they begin their day and they start using the roadways that decisions have been made over the long term to cut off vital arterial traffic flow. Now you have Josh Matlow. Josh Matlow, he's a current city councillor asking for the residents of Toronto to vote for him. He's a part of the constabulary of a problem. His decisions have, alongside with Brad Bradford and under Mayor Tory, they don't bode well for the city. Josh Matlow may talk a good game, just like everybody else, of trying to hone in where the feelings are at for the resident of hardship, the resident that can't find work, the resident that can't find housing. All these people were responsible for entering into contract negotiations with various vendors, whether it's motel or hotel for lodging to take the homeless off the streets. And over the last year, these vendors no longer wish to renew contracts and continue providing lodging as they did. Why? They want to take their assets back. Even the World Health Organization in recent months made an announcement that as far as the World Health Organization is concerned, the global pandemic is over. People want to reacquaint themselves in times of yesterday past, prior to the pandemic being a part of all of our lives, for good, bad, or indifferent. Now, you have city agencies that are getting funding from the City of Toronto, being told by the city that for the person that you take care of on a daily basis that comes into your drop-in center, you instruct them to ride the TTC day and night. You give them a $5 Tim Hortons, coffee card for a cup of coffee, maybe a sandwich. And these are people that are in dire straits because of various drug, alcohol problems, gambling, that sort of thing. And all they were is just occupying a space, and no mind was actually given to them to actually help them. And now, is it any wonder that as we're going about our day-to-day lives, we see somebody in an episode, there's no other way of saying it, where they seem to be fine 1 minute, and their episode is where it could be interpreted as that person has a situation about mental health. The City of Toronto is responsible for causing a lot of problems. They're responsible for the additional increase in homelessness. Their decisions over the last 3 years, somehow, somewhere, it's affected us all, but for the homeless, the helpless, and the downtrodden, it's hit them hard the most. I pledge, with your help on Monday night, June 26th, if you vote for Peter Hanges, number 51 on the ballot, I pledge to take 5,000 people off the street. If elected mayor, once sworn in, I will have time to sit down with various departments and agencies, and I will put a plan together within 65 calendar days as to how to utilize city-owned property, and if it's within my reach, province of Ontario property and federal government property. So, Mayor of Toronto only has a reach of Toronto things. In this case here, if I'm going to take 5,000 people off the street and give them lodging, shelter, food, warmth, compassion, give them the opportunity to restore their dignity, give them an opportunity to have a place to dry out for being strung out. Within 65 days, if I'm elected mayor Monday, once I'm sworn in, to put a plan together to utilize city-owned property, to do a retrofit or a renovation for whatever parcel of property might be out there that is either partially utilized or completely unutilized, where one department can be transferred over to another department in a very, very seamless fashion at a minimal expense. Go in and do everything properly by obtaining city permits, even though it's a City of Toronto operation, and retrofit these places so we can start taking the homeless off the street, giving them protection, giving them help, triage them just like a hospital would when somebody comes in, car accident, heart attack, whatever the case may be. Not all homeless have issues with drugs, alcohol, gambling, that sort of thing. There are people out there that are just working poor, and you find them in tents all over Allen Gardens. For the people that might know, not know where Allen Gardens is at Sherbourne and Carlton, on the west side of Sherbourne Street. It's a big parcel of a park, and there's tent encampments all over the place. The city of Toronto doesn't seem to mind to start replicating our city looking like an American city like San Francisco, as an example, where there's just tent encampments all over the place. Now you have Anthony Fury, you have other people saying, if I'm elected mayor, I'm going to get rid of these encampments. Well, hold on a second. Let's stop and, really have a look at this. To say outright that you're going to remove the encampments, I find is a disservice to the Toronto voter that is undecided or disenchanted, not interested in participating on a municipal level to vote. This is who I'm trying to reach tonight. These are the podcasts, the live streams that I want to reach the people that might be undecided or not overly interested, in participating in the vote. I ask for your vote Monday, June 26th. Peter Hanges, number 51 on the ballot. I have, a very measured approach to dealing with this problem. Utilize city-owned lands, and for those that need extra help, drugs, alcohol, gambling, that sort of thing, they're going to be in a different part of the city being taken care of. I'm not talking about the outskirts. It'll be done within the boundaries of the city of Toronto. For the working poor, house them in order for them to start getting back on their feet, putting a couple of bucks together. And on both fronts, have them feel appreciated. Have them feel that the city actually cares as opposed to paying lip service. Who am I? My name is Peter Hanges. Over the last 20 years, I've been dealing with people that have alcohol, drug, gambling problems. I have a pretty good track record of guiding them with path that they've become successful. I've had more success than I've had disappointment. Some people, they don't take to being clean over a long period of time, serious. They've had some stumbles. Most of them have gotten back on their feet. They learn from their mistakes. I believe in giving a second chance, or a third chance as it were, because nobody's perfect. Neither am I. If anybody says otherwise, that they have a perfect plan, then you know exactly where to cast them as outcast. I love my city. I see the pain. I hear your words. I feel your pain. Much talk has been talked about something to do with seniors. Anna Ballau, former city councillor, and now running, to be mayor of Toronto. Anna, you offered gold. The decision that you made to have John Tory endorse you it's got to be the craziest thing. And people are talking about it all across the city, and not in good favor. They're actually chastising you about it. But Anna Ballau, during her time, she's contributed to the problems that we currently have. I hear from time to time people reflect what other parts of the world are doing, whether in Europe, the United States, or Vancouver. Toronto problems require City of Toronto solutions. Excuse me, for being a little different to say, I'm not interested in what Vancouver is doing. I'm not interested in what other jurisdiction or municipality in the United States, what they're doing, or elsewhere in Europe. Because when, I guess over the last year and a half, when all the big news of things that were going on in Ukraine and inflation soaring and prices started to become out of reach, these are the European countries that everybody looked to, as a role model of things to do. So I restate, problems that the City of Toronto has, require City of Toronto solutions. And I'm the candidate that can back up that claim and actually do something about it. Once I'm elected mayor, I ask for your vote on Monday, June 26th, ballot number 51, Peter Hanges. If elected, once sworn in, I'm going to assume the chair of mayor in a polite, dignified way. I will do reach outs to city council members, staff, and unionized labor. A new kid is on the block, and I am more than willing to sit down and listen to input. I am more than willing to be cooperative with people. But the problem is, and you can say what you want about John Tory. John Tory might have known how to slither himself around, make a lot of deals, have the media backing him and protecting him, because anytime anything was ever asked of John Tory, he always offered a word salad, and people always found themselves, including myself, for the 45 seconds that that man provided an answer. In all honesty, what did he say? So for the 8 years of Tory, now we find ourselves with a lot of different problems, including the insistence of the city of Toronto to decriminalize and make very hard, very addictive drugs readily available. When cannabis stores opened, there was controversy behind that, but it was emphasized that we should live in modern times. We should assume progressive ideas, because that's where the mindset was at. And lo and behold, cannabis stores became legal, and you can buy yourself, I don't know, over 100 different strands and flavors or whatever of, cannabis. Now they want to make cocaine, they want to make heroin, they want to make opioid, methamphetamine legal, okay, decriminalized. We already have a significant drug problem in Toronto. Some of that is tied to the homelessness problem. The only way you can help the homeless is to help them become dried out from being strung out. The last thing anybody needs is to have somebody over the age of 19 purchasing decriminalized harder drugs and passing it on, okay, to a younger child, okay, because it's happened before. It's happened with alcohol. Another, a person that is of age makes a purchase and passes it on to the younger. This I am totally against. With every fiber of my being, if I'm elected mayor, I'm going to fight this tooth and nail. I don't want this. Right now, Stanley Park in downtown Vancouver, they have 80% of Stanley Park as a homeless encampment, and it is cut off from public use. These are the decisions that I don't want. If it works well for Vancouver, then God bless. Whatever works for them, let it stay there. I don't want these problems to come here. You're just adding more problems on top of the problems that we have. And then people find themselves saying, why is this such a good idea? It ain't. I believe in the power of freedom. I believe in the power of free will. I believe in the power of free choice. But if you're going to actually take a serious look in deconstructing the drug problem in this city, having cocaine, heroin, other really, really hard addictive drugs readily available to become decriminalized as a progressive idea, I don't buy that for 1 second, and neither should you, especially if you're a parent or a grandparent watching this live stream. Please share this content. Share. Share it as far and as wide as possible. This is a very, very big deal of a special by-election for Toronto Mayor that is going on right now. My closing thoughts. As this weekend unfolds, myself and my fellow competitors will be out in the hustings trying to convince people to vote for them. If the last couple of days has indicated anything, everybody is scurrying to jockey a position because they have no idea what they're doing. Annabella getting an endorsement from John Tory, I think, has to be one of the most twisted, insane agreements that a person could ever make. Okay? Just to reiterate, John Tory resigned because they had an affair. And that was during a time where John Tory, amongst other people, some of them current city councilors right now, were telling the public, lock down, shut down, participate, keep your distance, wear a mask. People being denied, okay, pleasantries and attributes, okay, of day-to-day life. Meanwhile, John Tory didn't have a problem having an affair. Meanwhile, you're not supposed to live life, but he was. These people are all damaged goods. You want to fight back? You want to kick sand in their face? The best way to do it is to elect a guy like me that will look anybody in the eye. Okay? Maybe I'll use profanity, maybe I won't. But the one thing that I can tell you is, as I'm speaking to them, I will listen to these people, and if there's anything that I find out of sorts that I don't agree with, I will push back and tell them, you're out of line. What you're saying or suggesting is totally unrealistic, especially for a newly elected mayor. So I ask for your help in order to push back, okay, to realign the city, to bring, restore balance and equity in the city, for all residents to realize a better tomorrow in a loving, graceful manner where we all get along, and to restore unity within community. I'm the only candidate that speaks of restoring unity in community. I mentioned on previous live streams and podcasts, if the Ontario government thinks that moving the Science Centre from Don Mills, Thorncliffe Park area down by the lakeshore next to Ontario Place is such a good idea, in order for him to continue with his Ontario Line project, I say, excuse me, why not move the Ontario Science Centre to Jane and Finch? You have 20 out of 25 wards since amalgamation pushing money down to City Hall, 100 Queen Street West, and that money is not trickling up back into these communities. This is where I find it very, very disturbing, if not just hysterical, to laugh out loud, that you have all the top people that are running for mayor that are getting all the press. The first thing that they did is open up campaign offices out in Scarborough. And once that was established, to move and have a second office in the actual downtown portion of the annex. These people do not have your best interests at heart. A final word about Mitzi Hunter. Now, Mitzi Hunter is a former MP of Ontario for the Liberal Party. Under parliamentary rules, as a Liberal Party member, if a person is to desire to run for other political office, they must resign their seat. And Mitzi Hunter did. I congratulate her. But also, my critique would be that she had been reelected, okay, not too long ago. The last election that Doug Ford won a bigger majority, she actually held her seat and got voted in. The community in her riding believed in her to vote her back in, even though the Liberal Party was decimated in the last election. That's a whole different other kettle of fish. This is my point. I don't understand, for somebody that got reelected comfortably, would up and leave and let those people down. That doesn't spell commitment, okay? That spells opportunism or being opportunistic. Don't ask me what Mitzi Hunter has on her mind. Leaving a secured seat of people in her riding that voted for her again 2 years ago to run for Toronto mayor. I'm sure she has her reasons. My critique of it is that it just shows inconsistency, a lack of respect for the people that voted for you, and the furthest thing that this demonstrates is commitment. That's what I have to say about Olivia Chow, about Annabella, about Josh Matlow, about Brad Bradford, Mitzi Hunter, and the last one, Anthony Furey. Anthony Furey. Here's a Toronto Sun columnist. One day, I guess he's a coffee drinker, and had $1 million idea that he's going to run for mayor. There's 102 people on the ballot for City of Toronto mayor on Monday, June 26th. I'm one of them, number 51. Now, Anthony Furey, being an outsider, was treated like an outsider until push, pull, whatever inner workings that the map might have had, somehow started to bear some type of relevance. As a journalist, Anthony Furey should have made a remark that more time should have been made available to the lesser known candidates such as myself. But he didn't. Once a door of opportunity was given and afforded to Anthony Furey, he took it and ran with it. So guess what? Journalists today, it didn't take them long, okay, to get the lick of, being treated in a favorable light, to get some press. Say one candidate said something and the media would approach him, okay, for his remarks or his thoughts. This person said this today. What do you think? What's your say? So you have people here that are demonstrating ideas or thoughts that are only scratching the surface, if that, to catch your attention. Because for all the pain, for all the suffering, okay, that people are going through right now, where they're trying to hone in on that pain and suffering, but not offering anything substantive, not offering any substance in depth with clarity like I am. I'm not interested in misleading people. Feel free. My contact information will be within the description of this live stream. Please reach out. Elect Peter Hedges, mayoroftoronto.ca. That's my website. I have a campaign office, 821 Pape Avenue. That would be at the corner of Pape Avenue and Selkirk Street, one bus stop north of Pape subway station. There are people that have a campaign office such as myself, and there are people that are running for mayor that don't. I wanted to give a commitment to the community and to the election process by having a campaign office. I'm running as an independent candidate. I'm self-financed. I'm not taking donations. A lot of people disagreed with my position, but at the end of the day, I'd rather go independent. I'm not a card-carrying member of any political party anywhere in the world. I don't belong to the Liberal Party, Conservative Party, NDP Party, Green Party, whatever party. But, speaking of party, to bring tourism back, you clean up the homeless problem. Okay, you remedy that problem. That brings confidence back into the system, into the city streets, not only for the local resident, minding their own business, going about their daily affairs, but it'll entice investment to come back into the city again. For the festivals that we once knew, for the concerts that we once knew, you're going to have all the big names at the biggest venues the lesser known venues that used to exist before are no longer around. To bring a nightclub atmosphere back, to bring tourism back. People might be at dire straits and a lot of buying power that they may have or lack, but I always hear it'd be nice if I can go out and just be a part of something for a couple of hours a day, night. There's a festival coming or what have you that might be of interest to me like it used to be many years ago. I want to bring that back. The livelihood of a neighborhood is with blue collar jobs. All my fellow competitors, they don't speak of bringing blue collar jobs back within the boundaries inside the city of Toronto. For whatever reason, blue collar jobs, factories, that sort of thing, it was pushed away. Pushed away. Pushed away. Now, whether it went overseas or it went over Steeles Avenue, west of the 427, east of Port Union and 401, those are basically the boundaries of the city of Toronto. The bottom point being Lakeshore. To have a sustainable community, to reintroduce unity and community once more, you need to bring blue collar jobs back. The city of Toronto needs to take the position to tell the world, whether it's an international investor or a local investor, that the city is receptive to bringing factory jobs back. It's not being talked about. I am, and I've been consistent on this issue. There's many things that we can achieve. Why not have athletics along with academics as after school programs for our children to excel, to actually have focus? I borrow this model off of Kumon. It already exists, but I want to introduce it into the City of Toronto system as broadening after school programs. There are many diamonds in the City of Toronto, and I know how to mine them, but as with all mining operations, you have to go out and get it. There's no shovel required. The City of Toronto needs to put the word out there, okay, that diamonds could be found, and the diamonds are our children. The diamonds are our teenagers. The diamonds are the younger adults, because they live in this 21st century world of technology, social media, all these other things, okay, that a person like my generation couldn't even have fathomed 20 years ago. Today, it's commonplace for these kids. Let's harness this, okay, for the betterment for all residents of our city, to have Toronto be the jewel of envy in North America. So people in the United States, in Europe, and elsewhere, wherever, whatever part of the world, I want to hear them say, that's what Toronto's doing? I think it's worth booking a flight and checking it out for ourselves. And it could be somewhere like Niagara Falls. It could be somewhere elsewhere in the world. For far too long, the city of Toronto has always taken very kindly to look at what's Vancouver doing, what's Los Angeles doing, what's this, what's that part of the world doing. I want to put a stop to that, and I want to condition the city to be the jewel of envy in North America, where people are actually saying amongst themselves, what's Toronto doing? Let's go check out what they're doing. When was the last time that you had either a would-be politician, in my case, established politicians, people with name recognition, speak of our city in this way? I see the potential because I see the people every day. It doesn't matter what walk of life they may be. They all have one thing to conclude in their thoughts when they speak to me once they know that I'm a candidate for Toronto Mayor. Change is of the essence. Change is necessary. Change needs to happen. And out of all the current top 5, top 6, top 7 candidates that are getting all the press, you're not going to get an ounce of change out of them. You're going to get more hardship. You're just going to have more hair-pulling episodes coming out of your head. not believing that city council passed this law today, this law, this law. You have misappointed news broadcasting to kind of like give you bits and pieces of what's going on, but the distraction mechanisms are there. This has to stop. How does it stop? Because a guy like me has the demeanor, has the perseverance, has the disposition to look somebody in the eye, and if I like it, they'll know. And if they don't like it, they'll know. Thank you very much for watching this podcast. Please, once again, on Monday, June 26th, I ask for your vote. It is imperative, if you haven't made up your mind, to cast your ballot for me. Position number 51 on the ballot, Peter Hanches. If you're still on the fence or still not interested in participating, this is the biggest deal of a municipal election this country has ever seen. That much is true. God bless. I love you all. Thank you very much and have a safe weekend.